What's going on, you guys? This is Coach Ike, and I want to talk about what college football looks like now and how it is changed the game for high school and youth football. So everybody knows the transfer portal. Everybody knows NIL is here. It's not going anywhere. Okay. How has this changed everything for everybody? It has created leverage for players in a great and stupendous way, uh, if I can say that word. But at the same time, the powers are trying to be held back or relinquished or given back to the colleges. And this is what I mean by that. So NIL is you able to brand yourself. I don't think players necessarily understand that. You're able to brand yourself and create your own money on your own. Far too much I hear about collectives. I hear about schools asking for donations to pay people, to pay their players. I'm hearing about players reaching out to the fans asking to donate so they can get paid. Fellas, you guys are missing the whole key. You learning how to fish for yourself. You guys are missing the whole idea of NIL. You are independent contractors. You shouldn't be relying so much on what the school can offer you. Yes, you might hear guys, the major guys at major schools getting paid a certain amount of money. They have endorsements by Gatorade, stuff like that. Fellas, you can do the exact same thing. It doesn't need to be a Gatorade. Doesn't necessarily need to be the biggest program or the biggest business or corporation out there. It can be in your area. Okay. So that's one thing. Now, the reason why these coaches are trying to bring the reins back in because now we control how you're going to get paid. If the boosters are giving this money and you say, man, oh yeah, I'm about to leave unless I'm getting a certain amount of money. And now they say, okay, we're going to pay you this amount of money. But at the same time, if you're not producing, oh, we're going to take some of this money back because you're not producing or you're not on the field. What you going to do? They hold the reins. They giving you the money. They the one doing everything. You not holding up your end. So this is the back and forth for NIL. Now, the transfer portal. This is real big. Now, what I don't like, they're not sharing the story of both, but a lot of coaches are telling young men to get in the transfer portal. They're telling them, you better off getting into the transfer portal rather than we just take your scholarship or you're not going to play at all. Okay. That's not the story that's being told. Okay. So that's happening. Then you have young men who are jumping into the portal without any advice, without testing the waters to say and thinking that hopefully, oh, I'm going to get picked up because I played, or hopefully, I'm going to go to a bigger school. I'm just going to be able to produce. That's not necessarily always the case. Okay. So these are the things of how the transfer portal is changing things. Now, this is trickling down. And before we get to high school, we're going to talk about JUCO. So I actually went to JUCO Mount Sac, where I won a championship there. One of the best JUCOs in the nation. So how is all of this trickling down to them? Well, now, normally in the springtime, JUCOs will see an influx of coaches come in. College coaches, D1, D2, D3, it didn't matter where they was at. If you was a guy who either had his AA or was a qualifier, the coaches were coming to see you so they can get you on campus early. Now, they're still doing that. The thing is, they're only signing a limited amount of JUCO players because first, They're going to see if they can fill a need of those guys in the transfer portal first. And then if they're not, then they'll come down to JUCO. So that's how it's working. And then you got the high school players who are all being affected by this. So if you're a top athlete in high school, you are still going to get picked up. It doesn't matter. Okay. If you were a five-star, four-star guy as a freshman, you still will be going to that school. You still will be getting that scholarship. Who this is really hurting, the transfer portal and how college is operating, is those guys who are on the bubble. You were that 3-star, 2-star guy who typically you would get that scholarship towards the end of all the recruiting. You would get that last scholarship, or you'll be on a bubble type guy. Well, now you guys are getting completely passed over. And especially if you're not able to graduate early and go up on campus in the spring or in the summer, now you're being passed over because it's taking you much longer to get on campus. The whole reason why JUCO coaches, JUCO players get picked over some high school kids because they're able to get on campus. I know for me, I was able to get in the spring, which was a big plus. I was able to learn the playbook much faster than some freshman that was going to come in the summertime or come in right before fall. So when you're able to get on campus and learn that playbook so much faster, you have a upper hand on those guys who are coming in late, regardless if they're better than you or not. You're able to be seen by the coaches. They're able to evaluate you then and there rather than just on film. And they're able to actually see if you're able to get the playbook down in a fast manner. So this comes down to now in high school, if you're actually being developed. Now you say, Coach Ike, what does that mean? What does develop mean? I am a developer, okay? If you aren't being developed, regardless how good you are, you're not going to play. And if you do, by the time you do get it, with how the rules work, how everything works, it might be a little too late. And what do I mean by that? So I have a young man who I've been training since he was 8, 9 years old. Okay. Been working with him. He's now a senior in high school. When he was 10 years old, he was already doing things that defensive backs should be doing in high school, but the defensive backs in high school were not doing. So by the time he got to high school, he was a freshman, played JV his freshman year. His sophomore year, he's playing, started towards the end of the year. You don't really find that too often. And due to his size, that's the only reason why he wasn't playing as a freshman. He's just a smaller kid. Now, take it back to a guy who made the transition from linebacker to safety. Never played DB a day in his life. Because he was a bigger kid and Pop Warner or youth football, he always played backer compared to his peers. So when he got to high school, that's all he knew is play backer. And he was very efficient, very a playmaker, a baller, knew how to get to the ball. But as far as making that transition, he had football IQ. He just didn't know the nuance and the details of playing that position, that playing safety. So we started to train. He came to the high school where I was coaching at, and he got developed in the position. He started to learn the nuance, things that we was already working on training, and then we took it to the bigger picture as far as a team component. He was able to get a scholarship to a D1 program based off of being developed and groomed in that position that he was actually going to play. All the techniques that I taught him when we was training and coaching, he actually runs the same techniques there in college. That is development, where you learn something and not only build on it at the next level, but use it to help you continue to get better. Now, I remember when I was coming up, I learned certain things in high school. Pop Warner, when I got to high school, I learned more. When I got to college, I learned more. When I got professional, I learned more. That's not necessarily the case now. I'm running across guys who are playing professional. Even when I played, they didn't know basic things that I knew. And I knew and I found out I was taught these things in high school and they was never taught these things. They were just learning as a pro. So this gave me an upper hand even playing. No, I didn't need to be the tallest. No, I didn't need to be the fastest, the strongest, the quickest, because I understood from a football IQ wise already, and then I knew a technique how to put me in place to be there to make the play or to keep me on the field and produce at a high level. So this is why it's so important when you are a youth sports, when you are high school, if you are being developed, because the development part is being passed over and it's being assumed just because you went to these programs that you know these things. I say to my kids now all the time, if you are a freshman coming in and there is a junior about to be a senior, he hasn't played his whole career and now it's his time to play. If that junior going to the senior year knows the same exact information as that freshman does coming in, most likely that senior won't play. And the reason for it, coaches in their eyes, how they see it, as this guy, this freshman, I have more time to get him better. I have more time to develop him and help him grow than I do with this senior who's been here this whole time, who's just now getting it, who has just now gotten to the part or the same level as the freshman, where even though he might still have the ability to get better, he has not shown it in a fast manner. So I don't know if I have enough time. This is the coach's thinking towards that senior. So most likely that senior would get passed up again, and either he would have to wait until something happens as far as possibly injury, and of course you don't want that to happen, or football, it always works out crazy. Somebody's not able to get into school or whatnot, or he's going to have to transfer out and hopefully go to another place where he has to start over again to learn a whole new scheme, a whole new defense, a whole new terminology, get trust from the coach. So this is the rundown of how the college all the way down to youth and high school football has turned out things. And to go a little bit deeper, how this is even changing up, going to the pros, going upwards. Because now you have guys who normally the whole thing was to stay long enough where I can be in college football to get to the pros. But now if you have guys who are possibly have the option of getting paid just as more with less stress, staying in college, and regardless if they come out now or their senior year, they're going to get paid that same amount of money and still go high. Well, guys are going to stay a little longer. Guys are going to stay because now they don't have to deal with the media always being watched. They no longer have to worry about the stress of producing always at a high level because you're a higher draft pick or you're going to lose your job. You can honestly be a kid and still enjoy playing a game with your teammates in college and get paid. So this is going to hurt those guys once again who should be playing, but a senior, he doesn't necessarily have to leave. And he is honestly in a good position where you can't take his position because of the things that he's done, the accolades that he has created over this time. So you have to wait your turn. So this creates more backed up in your development as a player. And you guys have parents and players, you guys got to understand where you're at and where things are going. So make sure that you guys are truly looking at the landscape of how college football is changing everything, and maneuver wisely, maneuver in a way best for yourself, and not just what your friends are doing, not just what everyone else is doing, because the blind lead the blind most of the time. And you don't want to keep falling into those potholes. And honestly, in a few years, the truth will come out about all these things, because the transfer portal is very new, and we already see some things and some stories come out, but more and more stories will come out. So I share this with you because if you are ready to make that move on, make sure that you are being developed, that you make sure wherever you go, it doesn't matter who steps on campus, that you're able to produce because you have been developed where you need to be developed at, in that scheme, in that position that you're in, that move, whatever it is. Make sure you guys reach out to Coach I. You guys have a good one. Be blessed.